Welcome to another edition of Woods for Trees Stories. Woods for Trees channel is created to explain the big picture of the issues at hand and not to get lost in the nitty-gritties. It means it is easy to get lost and confused in among the woods if we are inside a forest. But if we raise above the forest for a bird's eye view, then we will be able to see the forest for what it is. The surroundings, the landscape, the trees with the leaves and flowers, and not just the woods. That will allow us to navigate our way out of the woods. So this Woods for Trees channel is created to provide a bird's eye view of the world and the issues at hand. I hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you for watching.
If any white man in the world says, "Give me liberty or give me death," the entire white world applauds. When a black man says exactly the same thing, he is judged a criminal and treated like one, and everything possible is done to make an example of this bad nigger so there won't be any more like him.
The story of the Negro in America is the story of America. It is not a pretty story.
Most of the white Americans I've ever encountered, sure, they have nothing whatever against Negroes. That's really not the question. Really a kind of apathy and ignorance. You don't know what's happening on the other side of the wall because you don't want to know.
In America, I was free only in battle, never free to rest.
We need to take action, any kind of action, by any means necessary.
They needed us to pick the cotton, and now they don't need us anymore. Now they don't need us, they're going to kill us all off. There are days when you wonder what your role is in this country and what your future is in it. I can't be a pessimist because I'm alive. The question you've got to ask yourself, the white population of this country's got to ask itself, is why it was necessary to have a nigger in the first place. Because I'm not a nigger, I'm a man. But if you think I'm a nigger, it means you need it. And you got to find out why. And the future of the country depends on that.
So this is Lou Dobbs of Fox News host. He used to be the CNN host once upon a time, from where he was unceremoniously kicked out for inventing the birtherism of Obama. He kept on peddling the birtherism story, and that CNN could not have him anymore. So he was unceremoniously kicked out from CNN, and then he took refuge in Fox, and ever since in Fox he has been peddling this white supremacist ideas. Now he has found two women. These two women, the Diamond and Silk, they're regulars in Fox, and they play the part of the so-called good Negroes. They go along with the Lou Dobbs, whatever he wants, insulting them, insulting their race, their background. Lou Dobbs comes from the white supremacists. He has no goodness towards you, these two women. All he wants is these two women to play the part of a good Negroes. And that's all he wants. And these two stupid women do not understand it. At least Kenya West seemed to have copped on in the last couple of weeks what Trump has done to the black people. And these two blacks are just going on as if they are whites.
Well, yeah, it's time for Acosta, for his press credentials to be removed.
Yeah.
It's very sad that he don't understand as a journalist. He is supposed to report news, not make the news and not be the news. And yes, he is the enemy of the people. Not only that, but the enemy of the truth. He's very disrespectful.
What do you think?
And just look at the integrity of the question that they're asking. Look at what is representing. They're not even asking questions that have substance to it. Look, this president have done so much for this country, and there's so many questions to ask. But to ask ignorant questions, it reflects on their character. They are really ignorant to the fact that people are tired of their mess.
Yeah. Well said. Let's turn to the election. I have to say, the president doing something that's only been done 3 times in 100 years, and actually adding Senate seats in the midst of this, even is losing basically the historical average, about 30 seats, less than that right now. Your reaction?
Well, you have to understand why the Democrats was playing checkers, the president was playing chess.
That's right.
Okay. And even though we had some of these representatives that retired, you had a lot of these here in these congressional races, Democrats pumping millions and donors pumping millions and millions of dollars into these races. That was just like a thing towards the Republican Party were okay. So.
And let's deal with this Kanye West situation real quick, man, because a lot of people, a lot of the headlines today about an hour ago went up. Kanye went on his Instagram, and a lot of people think that he's kind of talking about Donald Trump. So I'm going to read some of his tweets here as you see him on the screen. I'm going to get Sandman's opinion on this. Right. Kanye says, I'm not sure if this is in any particular order, but my eyes are now wide open, and I now realize I've been used to spread messages I do not believe in. I am distancing myself from politics and completely focusing on being creative. I guess he's talking about Kansas. I introduced Kansas to a person who made the logo and they didn't want their name on it, so she used mine. I never wanted any association with it. Belex. I have nothing to do with it. And he said, I would like to thank my family, loved ones, and the community for supporting my actual beliefs and my vision for a better world. But the tweet that's really standing out is the one where Kanye is pretty much coming out saying that he's now distancing himself from politics. He feel like, his words have kind of been twisted, what we've been saying for a long time. Saying, man, what do you think about Kanye West's, so-called Twitter rant that you brought to my attention?
It was interesting because the headlines automatically said it was he was denouncing himself from Donald Trump. I thought that was interesting. That he didn't use any names. Right. And then we heard that the tweet.
The play covers a period in the civil rights movement right before the bombing of the little girls in Birmingham, Alabama. The movement leaders have had a very successful event in Montgomery, Alabama with the bus boycott, and they are trying their best to recapture that energy, trying to organize a movement in Birmingham. And they think they got it.
Henry, I realize that I'm very new here, but I was hired to organize this office.
Let's stay on topic. All right? We have to be sure here.
See, that's the problem, Jimmy. Always got to be so sure.
The audience is going to immediately realize that these characters are based on Dr. King and Ralph Abernathy.
Not this girl in Tennessee arrested for using the white water fountain.
They beat her bad.
Yes, they did, but she
almost died.
The Good Negro actually came up with the title of the play long before. I was just looking at these images of King and Abernathy and Andrew Young, and they were just, every time you saw them in public, they were impeccably dressed. The image that they were projecting to the world was that they were exceptional human beings. So in a way, they were saying, we deserve our rights because we're good. And in a way, and I feel like that's the only way they had to do the fight at the time, because there were people who were saying that we were subhuman. You can't even use the same toilets as you do or drink from the same water fountains because you are less than we are.
The character that I play is Claudette Sullivan, and she is she's the catalyst for the entire play. Basically, I am in I'm shopping with my daughter to buy her a dress for a Sunday event at church, and the bathroom is not functioning for coloreds. So I take her into the white bathroom. Someone catches me. They end up taking my child from me. I get arrested. We both get thrown in jail. My daughter, who's 4, is held in a holding cell for 6 hours.
A 4-year-old girl alone in that filthy jail. We can't keep letting them walk all over us like this.
Preach, Jimmy. Preach.
She'll do. She'll work. Good.
It's wonderful to work with a director who is directly connected to these experiences. You know, when we were working at the table last week, Chuck had so many really great stories to tell. It's really nice to work with a director who actually lived it.
The country was just totally different. The races just did not communicate with one another. It was not a good time for race relations in the United States.
The movement had to be very careful about who they selected so that white people could also understand and relate to this Negro person, and black people had to relate to them as well.
We have to understand that once upon a time, Dr. King was not the king. Dr. King was a human being, just an ordinary guy who found himself in a situation and was able to take on that situation and take it to the next step. And in order to make this accessible to an audience, we have to see the flaws.
And that's attractive to me, because to get up at the theater and just do the speeches and be a leader, I think is something that everyone has seen. But when we go behind the scenes and we say, wow, I can relate now. I can relate even on a deeper level because he's like me.
He's very hurt to find that the man that he has grown to love and to respect is just a man. You know, and when you face something, when you see your hero, and then you have all these, again, ideals about him.
The attraction is about, wow, this is I'll say Negro who is not gonna take no stuff. How that affects Claudette's decision, I think it's just like this invisible draw. And then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, because she's a married woman. She loves her husband. So infidelity on any level is not in her trajectory. It's not in her consciousness.
I'm not trying to disparage anyone in the movement. I'm not trying to say that they were bad people. I'm actually trying to, I admire them. I'm trying to extol them by showing their humanity. I think when we make them perfect, then it doesn't do them a service, because if you're perfect and if you have no struggle, then it's easy.
Every one of us, with all our flaws, with all our peculiarities, can make a difference in this life. And the only question is, in these hard times, are we going to take it standing on our feet or on our knees? And these men and women took it standing on their feet.
So I really hope that people will look at those images in a different way and look and realize how difficult it was to make those decisions, how the sacrifices that people made. I really want people to because that was the experience I went through in researching this play and writing this play, realizing that what they did was extraordinary, and appreciating it and not taking it for granted. And it's more than just I have a dream speech. It's so much more complicated than that.